the reason for popularity of spreadsheet is that you can do decent amount of things with it, and everybody has access to it. Everybody, it's available in every office. You know, when you buy a Microsoft Basic, even Office, it comes with it. So the accessibility is quite high. So I'm going to expose you to three tools in spreadsheet: scenario manager, what if analysis, and goal seek. So those are the three things I will I will uh, I will touch upon. So some of you have some background in Excel, some of you do not. So let me just give you a quick refresher of Excel, and then we will start talking about those three kinds of analysis. The top is your ribbon, which has home, insert, all those tabs on the top. These are your various ribbons. Then right here is your formula bar. If a cell has a formula, that's written here. Right here is your cell address. Whichever cell is highlighted or active, that address is shown here in the name box right there. That's your active cell. And the reason Excel is so popular is because it's divided into cells, right? And those cells have address made up of column and row numbers. So column and row numbers makes a address. Okay. I'm hoping everybody has opened those Excel sheet. So right here, so the first starting point, very simple, various different kind of data you can enter in Excel: text, data, and I'm assuming this X file is visible to everybody. Text data, numbers, again textual, date, currency, decimal. Textual data is left aligned, numbers, dates are, and currencies are right aligned. Right here is a shortcut to make something currency and things like that. So you can do that. And decimals are here, and here you can increase the number of decimals, how much you want to see, or decrease. Okay. So those are sort of a basic various kinds of data you can uh, you can uh, you can enter, and that's how it looks like. So the second thing is cell reference or cell address. So right now this is my active cell, or this is my active cell. You can see the green thing out there, and you can see right there D7. D7 is my active cell. That's the address of it. Okay. So D7. You can also change the name of a cell. So instead of having D7, you can give it a meaningful name. So let's say this cell, I can go and click there, and I can say some profit, enter. So now its address is not D8 but some profit. And the reason for why sometimes you should do that is when you are using the cell in formulas, or maybe this is used as a sum where all the profit is get summed, so it's easy to refer to it. You can give a name to a single cell, or you can even select 3, 4, however row you want, and you can give it a name like the way I have given. So I already gave this name as range name. So you can change the name for one cell or multiple cells. Why are they useful? When we will start doing our examples, you will see how that becomes useful. Then a simple addition. I want to add this up, all these numbers up. How do I do that? Right here, auto sum, and it says add or sum function from starting from C13 and going up to C16. Press enter, you get the sum. And so when you press auto sum, Excel goes all the way till C13 and it stops at C13 because above C13 is C12 and which has a text data, which of course you cannot add text data. So that's why it stopped there. Another way you can do is manually D13 plus D12 plus D15 plus D16. You can manually type in your formula as well. So so that's how you enter a formula. A formula always starts with a equal to sign. I can also type in SU sum, select the rows, close brackets, enter. Different ways you can enter formula. Okay. And okay, so that's for the formula. I'm going to come here and to this number 32 and then go back above. Some more examples of entering formula. I want to multiply a this value by this value equal to or can somebody help me? Let's say I want to multiply 10 by 21. So I can say 10 multiply by 21. And I got the answer. Why is this a very wrong way of doing calculations? Yes. So what do you mean by yes? So it's absolute hard coded. So what that means is if tomorrow this number I change it to 30, there's no change there. I have to again redo my formula. So we never hard code numbers in our formulas. We always do cell address or cell referencing. So I say C34 multiply by D34. So what that means is if tomorrow I change this values, it automatically reflects in my formula. So I don't have to redo my work again. So anytime you do any calculation, please do not hard code numbers. You enter, you do cell referencing. Same thing here. I would do this plus this. And anytime you want to see what's happening in a formula, you double click onto it and it sort of highlights those cells which are being used. Now going back up here, I'm going to talk about fill handle. What is a fill handle? Fill handle is used to fill up series. So let's say year 2009, 10, 11. I have a date. I want to add more dates to it like that. So how do we do that? Let me show that again to you. So you select that cell, take your mouse, bottom, right side. When that white cross turns into a black smaller cross, your fill handle is enabled. Pull it down. Pull it down. For numbers, you need to have at least two numbers so that Excel can understand what sequence you are following, because it could be like this or it could be like this, 110 sequence, and then like that. You can use fill handle uh, uh, to fill up series, and also you can also copy the formula. So for example, right here, I do sum C13 to C16. I can use fill handle right there and copy it. It copies the formula here. Oh, the numbers are exactly the same. Let me change the numbers a little bit. Okay. So now you copy here. Only the formula gets copied. And Excel was smart enough to understand that now you want to do some D13 to D16. Okay. That so you can use fill handle both to fill up series or copy formula to the adjoining cells. Renaming worksheet. How do you rename a worksheet? Pretty easy. You click here and you can give it whatever name you want. Okay, some more formulas. Right here on the top, you have the most commonly used formulas: sum, average, count, max, min, and then you can click on more functions and do more here. Or the easiest is if you want average. Every formula starts with equal to. You type in A, Excel starts showing you all the functions with the V. I want this one, average. Open brackets come, you go and select the other close brackets, and you are done. I want to see the minimum number from the series, minimum close, shows you like that. So another way of entering formulas. Entering multiple lines of text. What do I mean by that? For example, if I type in here, my name is Nitin Walia. As you can see, it's one line going on straight, and the minute I enter some data here, the other line is not visible. What if I want to have multiple lines inside the cell? And sometimes it's you need to do that for some sort of formatting and things like that. How do you do that? You press Alt plus Enter. So let's say I want to break after here. Alt on my keyboard and Enter one line. Let's say one more. Alt plus Enter third line. So now I have three different lines in this cell. Because generally a cell is a single line. Okay. Next comes conditional formatting, which I really like. The purpose of conditional formatting, or as such, the purpose of Excel is twofold. One, you can do your calculations, your data analysis, and number two, you can share your work with other people. And sometimes it's difficult to share your result with other people when there's so much data, and that's where conditional formatting comes into play. So let's say you know, you have this bunch of numbers, and I wanna make it easy for somebody reading them to see which were the scores, uh, different scores and things like that. So right here is conditional formatting. You can do different kinds of data bars like that, you know, basing on that. Looks pretty cool, easy to understand. Color scales are available. So a lot of things are available, and you also have some rules. Uh, if cell is greater than 70, light red fill with dark red text, or you can do something else, or you can even do custom. Okay, oh, that one. Uh, let me do something which is. Uh, let me do here. Okay, if cell is greater than 70, uh, this one. So now if I have 10,000 lines of data, I can very easily see if I'm looking for a particular kind of data or record, I can see with this. So all these rules are available, uh, greater than, less than, between, then show me the top 10%, top 10 items, top 10%, bottom 10%, above average, and you can make your own rules as well. So this is, I really like this conditional formatting, these rules, because it makes it very easy to go over data rather than if I'm looking at say 100 students score and I want to see which student did badly. So rather than going through each, looking at that, I can simply say, okay, uh, show me the score where it's less than 70, and so then I'll get to see that. So those gets highlighted. Easy for me to read and understand the data. Okay. Then something called Format Painter, which is again very interesting and again very useful when you're creating reports in Excel. So let's say you created this report and now you wanna make this report again for 2014. I didn't go 2015. Why are you not moving? Okay, 16, 17. So rather than doing all these things again, making this bold, adding those colors, adding those commas, or let's say I'm going to even make this as currency, doing all these things again, can I simply just copy the formatting of this rows or this Excel sheet and copy it here? I don't want to copy the data. I don't want to copy the numbers. I just want to copy the format. And yes, you can do that. You highlight those and say Format Painter. And then as you can see, your icon has changed, and select the rows which you want, and that format gets copied. To copy a format from one to another, they do not need to be exactly same or same number of rows or anything. You can apply it to less or more number of rows. But this is a very good function, especially if you have already, a company fixed format which you want to apply now to your other work. You can use the format painter. Then again, so you are doing this work, you have a lot of work in your Excel sheet. You when you end up going and printing your work and you press print, uh, your work, uh, your work doesn't fit on one thing, or maybe you don't want to print the whole page. So you have some confidential data. You only want to print this much part and share it with your team or somebody. So I want to print only this part of my Excel sheet. So you select it, go to File, Print, and then you say Print Selection. So only that part gets printed. If you say Print Active Sheet, that whole active sheets gets printed, entire workbook. So that's the option to print a part of the workbook. Okay, now comes something interesting, which is called absolute referencing. Okay. So let me give you one example so that you can understand this concept of absolute referencing. Uh, Nitin, Herb, Mary, Joe, Abdul, all these people are salespeople who gets 10% commission based on what sales they have done. So 10, whatever sales they have done, they get 10% commission. So for example, Nitin made a sales of 1,000. So how do we calculate 10% of that? 1,000 multiplied by 10. And again, no hard coding of numbers, only cell reference. And now I want to use fill handle to bring it. Oops, it doesn't work. Why is it not working? D91 to multiply by D97. That looks okay. D92, so I came from here to Herb's sale, but here the cell went down because when you use the fill handle, it moves from one row to another or one cell to another, like we did here. Here was some C13 to C16. When we copied it, Excel was smart enough to understand if we are going to next column, it moved it from C to D. And it's applying the same principle here also. But what we want to do is we want to say is that this row where it says 10% D97 should always be constant, sorry, in all our formulas. So when I move like that, I want to go from this cell to this cell, but I want to keep this cell constant. And how do you do that? By using absolute referencing. So whichever cell you want to make absolute, which is D97, you put dollar signs around D and the number 97. And now when you drag it, it will work. It will change the cell. So, but D97 is constant in all the calculations. Okay, that's called your absolute referencing. Same example here. I've applied. You can do it yourself. Uh, any question, guys, so far? Another way you can use uh, absolute referencing is so either you use this absolute referencing by putting dollar sign around it, or the other thing you can do is you can trick Excel by giving the cell a name. So if I call it name, I'm going to call it com, or short form of commission. So now its name is com. So I'm going to say this is equal to this multiplied by this, and it's com now, as you can see right here. Now when I drag it down using fill handle, it works. I don't have to do absolute referencing anymore, because when you are using fill handle, it cannot change the name to it. So when a cell has a name, it automatically remains constant when you use the fill handle and drag it down. Okay. So that was sort of a basic intro to Excel, and I'm hoping all of you already have done some Excel before, and you have some understanding of it. Okay, so with that done, I talked about absolute referencing. You can go and refer my these PowerPoint later. So now I'm going to do uh, three kinds of analysis: scenario manager, goal seek, and then solver. And all these are sort of falls under what if analysis. And what is what if analysis? So basically, when you run any model, you have uncertainty and some risk associated to make a prediction. So let's go and look at the scenario manager first. How does that work? Right here, go to data, what if analysis. The first one is scenario manager. The second one is goal seek. So let's first do these two. Let me talk about this case which I'm using, and then we can apply the scenario manager to it. Let's say I am in charge of deciding the ticket prices for an airlines. I work for airlines. I'm their ticket pricing manager. So I have this plane which goes from, let's say, Cleveland to Chicago. Okay, and this plane has 100 seats in economy, 50 seats in business class, 25 in first class. So overall 175 seats. Okay. And let me do this 1 second. So my goal is to sell my economy, business class, and first class seats at a high price to get to earn as much money as possible. That's my aim. But as per the business, as per the past data, as per the business knowledge, I know that I can sell economy seat from $50 to $100. That's generally its range. High is 100, low is $50. Business class seats I can sell from 150 to $500. That's my range. And first class tickets I can sell from $350 to $1,000 range. So that's my upper bound, lower bound sort of. No, sorry, lower bound and upper bound. That for how much I can sell those tickets. So to start with a very simple example, I'm saying I will sell 50% of my economy, business, and first class at the highest possible price, which is 100, 500, and 1000. And I'm going to sell other 50% of my tickets at the lowest possible price, 50, 150, 350, just to start, make our example, something simple. So that is what I have set up here, that I have these many total seats in economy. I'm selling 50% at a high price, the other 50% or the leftover 50% at the lowest price, just to make a simple example. So how much money am I making by selling economy tickets? So 50% of 100 is 50 tickets, multiply by $100. So $5,000 from high. How many are left? 50% are left. Those I'm selling at $50, low end, and add them up together. So that's how much money I'm making from economy. That's how much money I'm making with business class and first class by selling each ticket at 50% high price, 50% low price, just for example. Now you go to what if analysis and do scenario manager. And I've already done that before. Uh, so I'm going to do it again, or I can edit it, or I can delete it. So I'm going to say add, and it's a give the scenario name. So this is my scenario, my best possible, my best, I call it best C scenario. And what is my best scenario? That I should be able to sell most of my tickets at a very high price. So your best scenario by changing cells, which one? This one. Okay, and then you say okay, and then ask you in your best scenario, what percentage of economy tickets are you selling at high price? I would say 75%, business 65%, first class 80%. So that's what I'm saying, add. Okay, so I had best scenario. Then I have already entered worst scenario. You can say add to show you, call it worst. Again, which scenario? This one. And my worst scenario is that only 45 or maybe even 40, I'm going to make it 35% of the seats I can sell at high prices, 35% of business class seats at high prices, and only 25% of first class seats at a high price. That means I will make very less money. So I have done this three scenarios, and before I can start running them, the only way the scenario manager will run is because before I went into scenario manager, I have done absolute referencing, or I've done cell referencing for my formulas. There's no hard coded numbers. So what that means is any change done here, it impacts everything else. The results gets impacted. So I can see the results. Okay. So now let's go back, scenario manager. Let's look at my best scenario. You can say show, and my best scenario, look at this, was 50, 50, 50. I'm going to say show, and look, it changed, the values changed, 75%, 65, 80, and now I'm making $49,000 if my best scenario happens. Worst scenario, show, 33,000. Most likely scenario, which is what you do is you put what you think is most likely would happen, something in between. So I'm going to say show for that, and I got the value for that. So these are just three scenarios and a simple example, but this way, once you have entered your data, you can start adding various scenarios and try to see how that impacts your final results based on what you're making changes to your inputs here. And then if you want to make a report out of this, you say summary. Okay, and let's say okay, and I think it will create. So it created a separate file which is my result. Economy seats. Sorry, this is my worst scenario. How much money I will make in my worst scenario, most likely scenario, best scenario, with those input variables. So it tried to make a report for you. So rather than you going back here and saying show and copying down all these values for each one of them, you can say summary, and it makes the nice report for you. So you can see the input values and what was your money you're making. Okay. And again, this is just a simple example I'm giving you. You can add much more complexity to it. So this is called scenario manager. Any question about this? Are you able to understand with my demo? Am I going too fast? Okay. Okay, so now we are done. We are done with the scenario manager. Now let's go to goal seek. Okay. What is goal seek? Oops. Goal seek. So again, goal seek is right here. So goal seek works in a opposite way than scenario manager. And how does it works in an opposite way? I have a nice graph. Okay. So basically, when you do Excel and you try to do some problem, you provide the initial values. Like we provided these initial values. At what percentage I'm going to sell at how many economy seats I will sell at high price, how many business class seats I will sell at business class at high price, and same thing for first class. So any Excel sheet you do, you provide the initial values. If I ask you how much is 6 plus 8, you say answer is 14. So 6 plus 8 were your initial values and your result was 14. So that is called your what if analysis, and that's what generally we do. That's what we did here. So for example, when you go and apply for auto loan and they said, okay, for how long you need the loan? You said 10 years. So how much money you need, you say, oh, not 10 years, sorry. You say 5 years loan and I need $10,000. And then the banker says the rate of interest right now going on is 4%. So those are all your initial values. And based on that, the result is how much is your monthly car payment. So that's your what if analysis. But what if we do something else differently? Goal seek. What goal seek does is instead of providing initial values, you tell Excel your goal, your end result, and then the Excel finds the appropriate goal for initial values for you. What does that mean? Let me show you this example first. And then we will come back to this airlines example. I went to the bank. I and I have already entered a formula here as how to calculate monthly car payment. I told banker I need 10%, $10,000 loan for 5 years, 60 months. And then the banker says, okay, right now the interest rate going on is 3.5%. And I got the value, your monthly payment is $181. Then I told the banker, you know what? I can afford $200 per month. Uh, can you give me more loan? I can afford to take more loan. But my monthly payment should be $200. So he said, okay, let me see. What if we give you $14,000 loan? Oh, it went to 254, too much high. How about $12,000? Oh, getting close. How about $11,000? Oh, perfect. Got very close. So what did we do? We played around with this initial values to get the result, and my result, which I wanted, was $200. But what if there was a better way to do it? Goal seek. Goal seek. And let me first change this to 15,000. So goal seek. Set cell this one where my goal is. To what value? I want $200 my monthly payment. By changing what cell? Principal. Or you can even play around with the term, how long you want the loan. But right now I can say principal. Okay, and now Excel will find out the correct value for us. So I should take a loan for 10,994 for my payment to be exactly $200. Now let's apply the same thing here. Let's make it 50, 50, 50. That's my revenue. And it's the same sheet as before. Uh, let's say goal seek. I want my total revenue, this cell, oops, this cell to be $45,000 and tell me how many economy seats should I sell at higher price? What percentage? Okay. Oh, that's a wrong answer. 138, not possible. Let's go back, try it again. Uh, Sell G24 to $43,000 by changing maybe business first class. Let's see if that works. 65. If I sell 65% of my first class seats at high price, keeping the other two at 50-50, I'll reach my goal. The drawback of goal seek is that you can only change one cell at a time. So that's its limitation. But it's quite useful for exploring the data, trying to see how you can reach your end result and get the exact what if value. So that is your goal seeks function. The next one is called solver, which is sort of the most best one. Earlier solver used to be paid, not anymore. Now it's part of Windows, sorry, operating system. How do you get it? I think you can go do a Google search. If it doesn't show up somewhere, add-ins, sorry. One second. If it doesn't show up, go to add-in, click onto it and say okay, and then solver will show up here. Okay. So what is solver doing? In this example scenario, we said we could play around with these three what if values and see its impact on our goal. In goal seek, we could change, we could get our goal by changing one value at a time. Now, solver does best of both scenario manager and goal seek plus something additional. So let me show you. First, get objective is this, my total revenue. Again, this is my airlines example. The setup is a little bit different though. By changing what cell, this sells, how many sold at high price, and the other thing which you can do in solver is every business has constraints. So what do I mean by that? Maybe my constraint is that I cannot sell more than 55% of business class seats at high price. Maybe that's the ceiling. So if in this case, as you can see, I was selling 65% of my business class at a high price, but every business has business constraint, and you can start adding those constraints in your solver thing. So you can say find the most profit, highest profit by maximizing these three, but then you can add a business constraint to it saying that this value cannot go beyond 55%, this one beyond 65, this one beyond 75. And I have a very good example of solver for you, which I make especially for you guys. Which is not here. Right. No, not this. Where did my other example go? I had it. Maybe it's in my other file. I hope it was not on my desktop, and I spent some time making the next example yesterday. I hope I have it. No. Where's my, come on. Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay, so now let's learn solver. How to use solver. So I'm going to give you this example. This is a little slightly complicated example, so stay with me. I am running Walia Cup Company, and our motto is we add color to your life. How do we add color to your life? We sell red color cups, blue color cups, black color cups, white color cups. Uh, and then at what price we sell those cups. So those are the prices for each cup. $450 red cup, 1,000 something for blue cup, $400 for black cup, $800 for white cup. Each cup has different uh, price. So it looks like the blue cup is the most expensive, followed by white cup and red cup and black cup. So those are the prices, uh, selling price of each cup. But as a business, you need raw material to make cup, and different types of raw material are used to make each kind of cup. And this is just an example. So as you can see, even though blue cup has the highest selling price, but it needs most number of raw material as well. So just for the sake of example, I'm saying we need glue, we need people, human hours, glass and wood to make each kind of cup. And this is how much we need to make one type of cup. So to make red cup, I need 50 pounds of glue, 5 hours of some human working on that uh, production, 250 pounds of glass, and 800 pounds of wood. To make blue cup, I need these much raw material, black cup, these much raw material, white cup, these much raw material. To make, let's call it 1 unit of cup, I need this much raw material. Every month, I go out and I buy this much raw materials overall. So in all total, I have 5,800 of glue. I have 730 human hours. So that's many people work for me, 8 hours a day. So I have in a month that many human hours, that much pounds of glass, that much pound of wood. And this much goes individually into each piece. Okay. And overall, I have this much. So I have 730 hours. So if one person works 8 hours a day, two people works 8 hours a day, I have 16 hours per day. So that's what I have. And that much goes into making each unit. So now my goal is with these available raw material and that selling price, and that goes into making each of those cell, how many red cups should I make? How many blue cups should I make? How many black cups should I make? How many white cups should I make so that I can maximize my profit? Intuitively speaking, it might seem the answer would be let's make as many blue cups as possible. But look how much raw material there are needed in that. So I don't know the answer, but that's what our goal is. Sell as many cups as possible we can make with these raw material, these different kinds, to maximize profit. Every business has a constraint. Life has a constraint. So I'm finding some constraint in my model. I am limited by how much raw material I have, this much. If let's say I can make a little bit more money if I have 800 human hours, bad luck, cannot do it. I only have 730 human hours. So that's my first limitation of my model. I have limited raw material or constraint on my model. Number two, my business, I should make, I should sell a reasonable number of each type of cup. Let's say my most profitable line, let's say, turns out to be is black cups. That's my most profitable line. So you might say, okay, let's start making only black cups. Let's not make any other kind of cups anymore because that's our most profitable line. I don't want to do that because I don't want to just have one kind of product. What if that fashion goes away tomorrow and my business goes away? So I want to have, at least I want to sell some reasonable amount of each kind of cup so that I'm not known as only the red cup company or black cup company. I want to known as a company which makes different kinds of cups, different colors of cup. And in my mind, selling 15 units of each kind of cup will make me a diversified company. and then I am not banking only on one kind of cup. I have four lines of product, which is what I want. That's my second constraint. And I am making up this constraint. I made up these up to have this real life business scenario. The third constraint I have is uh, I have total 730 human hours available. Whether I use 500 or 600 or 730, all of them, I have to at the minimum pay for 700 hours per week. So whether I end up using 690 or 710, at the minimum, my contract with my employees is that they will get paid at least for 700 hours, irrespective of however production I am doing. So what that tells me is that I should try to at least use 700 hours of human hours because I have to pay them however much I use them because I have a contract with them. So, so I just defined a very complicated uh, a business scenario for you. Different cups I make, their selling price, how I make them with all those raw materials. This is how much raw material goes into making each kind of cup, how much all raw materials I have, what are the constraints on me. Okay. So let's solve this problem. First, I'm gonna write it down. So I will start writing it down. So I have already done this. So I made this sheet, cup, red, blue, white, black, as my starting points. How many cups I am producing and selling? I put 15 because that was my constraint. I have to at the minimum sell 15. At what price? 450. This one price is coming from here and here. So let's find out how much money I will make if I sell 15 cups of each type. And how do you do that? You do, so what am I doing here? 15 multiplied by 450 plus 15 multiplied by 1150 plus 15 multiplied by 800. This again that. So I'm multiplying these two values to see how much money I make with red cups, how much money with blue, and so on, and adding them. There's a short function to do that, which is called sum product. Sum product, and you select your one row, comma, your second row, and what I just said, it will do for you, 42,000. And I have given this range of sell, I'm calling them as cups sold. So that's how much money I will make if I sell 15 cups of each kind. Now let's add our business constraints to it. How much resources I need to make one cup red right here, blue here. I wrote down each of them. I'm just writing for one cup each. And then I said resources, glue resources I'm using, multiply that by how many overall cups I'm making. So 15, 15, 15. Same thing for human hours, glass and wood. So if I make uh, 15 cups of each, that's how much is my profit, and that's how much resources I will use, and these were how much were available. So let's put those here as well. Okay, so that's where we stand. Now let's start solver. Set objective total profit. You can maximize, minimize, or you can set your own value. I'm going to say maximize. Maximize this value by changing what cell. What cell am I changing? How many cups should I make? So I put that there. Okay. And then I'm going to, if I run this, this will keep on running because there's no constraint on it. So I have to add constraint. My first constraint, human hours should be greater than or equal to 700 because I'm paying them for that much. My my other constraint, red cup, each cup should be at least 15. So you will go and add that for each cup. Each cup should be at least, I'm making at least 15. I don't want not to make, even if let's say certain kind of cup is very difficult to, very loss making, but I still want to have that option available. I'm saying I'm going to make 15 of each cup. So I did those. Okay. So I've added those constraints here. Okay. Then your other constraint you should add is resources used should be less than equal to resources available. Okay. Now let's solve it. And we got this answer right here. I should make 48 cups red, 15 blue, 16 white, 19 black. That will make my maximize my profit with all these constraints. And what were my constraints? Looks like blue cup is pretty expensive, loss making. That's why I kept at the minimum. If let's say I remove this constraint, which was E37, let's say I remove that one and now solve it. Oh, why didn't it do anything? Did I remove the right one? E37. E30. Or let's say I remove a couple of those. Why is it not changing at all? Something is happening. It worked for the first time. So as you can see, what solvers allows you to do is it's not only maximize the value, but you can also add constraints to it. Let me look my original one. What's, okay. So this was my original one right there. Solver H36, a number of cups build, 25, 20. Yeah, they're same. Okay. Okay. So that is called using solver. Solver allows us to maximize certain value by adding constraints. So our biggest constraint is this one, which is that our resources used should be less than resources available. Okay. Any question about this, guys? Let me try one more time. Maximize this. Okay. By changing these cells, and F37 is this. Okay, let's see what is it doing? Why it's not doing that? So it looks like that's the solution there. Okay, so now you got to see what if analysis, scenario manager, goal seek. You looked at the solver, and I want to show you one more example of all this. So, or maybe I'll let you do that yourself to play around on your own sheet. So this is an example. I am, selling uh, cheese, soft cheese, hard cheese. That's my revenue from each of those cheese revenue. This is my expenditure. And then your net income is revenue minus expenditure, which tells you how much money you are making. And then these are some of my constraints of my business. So when you apply scenario manager to it, so you have those three scenarios, and based on those, each of those scenario, let's say best scenario uh, or worst show, that is your result. And you also have this graph connected to it. Okay. Total revenue, total expenditure, net income. So as your revenue will change, so will this graph. And you can practice on this one yourself, but what I really want to show you from this is how you will show up your results, which ties up with the second part of our today's presentation, data visualization. So uh, going back to this, if I said scenario manager, and then you can see that's the net income you're seeing. Best scenario, show most likely. That's for numbers for most likely. Worst scenario, show, and you can see the numbers are changing. Total revenue, total expenditure, and then your net income. So you can copy paste these values and say these are our best scenarios, these are our worst scenarios, these are our most likely scenarios. But there's a better way to show that. You have this graph showing the same thing, and that's how I did this. So put those graphs there. Best case, most likely case, worst case, based on, because in the scenario manager, uh, what are you doing? Scenario manager, edit. You are changing these values, these assumptions and expenditure. That's what you are changing there, right? And that's what it shows. So this is a much more easy way to show your data. Rather than showing all those data in there, I will say I ran a scenario manager. In our most likely case, our growth in our soft cheese is 6%, hard cheese 0%. In a worst case, growth in our soft cheese is going up by 4% and hard cheese is going down by 15%. In our best case, growth in soft cheese is going up by 8% and hard cheese is only minus 12%. And based on those numbers, in our best case, these are our revenue. In our most likely case, this is our revenue. Worst case, this is our revenue. So you now are now connecting your data analysis with data visualization, which